Personality development. Does an individual have to be born with an outgoing personality or a great sense of intuition to succeed? Do we have to accept whatever abilities God has given us and not do anything about it? What does it take to win with people? Let's attempt to answer these questions with a session on personality development. Let us first understand the term personality. Different psychologists and thinkers have given varied definitions of personality. Personality is a dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his or her unique adjustment to the environment. Gordon Allport. Which means we have a dynamic, ever-changing organization within us, an organization made up of the mind and body which adapts and adjusts differently and uniquely to the environment. Personality is the relatively stable and unique ways in which people think, act and behave. Meyer and Cicatelli. This means that most of us are relatively stable in the way we think, take actions and react to certain situations. Our responses are not erratic and irresponsible. The pattern of enduring characteristics that differentiates a person from others or a pattern of behavior that makes each individual unique is called personality. Feldman. What we understand from this definition is that certain traits or characteristics that an individual possesses stay with the individual for a very long time, and these characteristics differentiate one person from another and make each individual truly unique. Personality is the most characteristic integration of an individual structure, modes of behavior, interest, attitudes, capacities and abilities. Mun. From this definition, it can be comprehended that personality is a sum total of the physical attributes, behavior, interests, attitudes and abilities of an individual. Personality is derived from the Latin word persona, which means to mask. In ancient Rome, theatre artists and actors would paint their faces or wear masks to display or enact something they were not. Personality could also therefore mean something that we hide from others. Several theories have been propounded by psychologists and sociologists on personality development. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, was a Greek physician in 400 BC. Who classified an individual's personality on the basis of the type of body fluid in the human body. He classified the fluid in the blood as sanguine, phlegm, black bile and yellow bile. People with sanguine blood, which means pure blood, are positive and hopeful. They are energetic, enthusiastic, warm and affectionate. People with more phlegm in the blood tend to be cold, passive and lethargic. They are usually calm and do not get excited easily. People with more of black bile in the blood are melancholic, depressed and dejected. People with more of yellow bile in the blood are choleric, hot-headed, impulsive and angry. W.H. Sheldon classified personality on the basis of body type. Endomorphs. People with soft round bones and high proportion of fat tissues. These people are usually easygoing, affectionate and love to eat. Mesomorphs. People with strong muscular bodies, wide shoulders and narrow hips. Such people are usually athletic, adventurous, competitive and assertive. Ectomorphs. People with tall and lean bodies with a slender and narrow frame. They are usually shy, introverts and not very optimistic about life. Determinants of personality. Who you are determines what you see. What people see us as is influenced by who they are. People in the same room will look at the same things and see everything totally differently. This can be explained with the help of an example. I go to a party and my husband is busy chatting with people. I get thoroughly bored and ask him what I was talking to the man in the blue shirt. My husband doesn't have a clue of what I mean. He doesn't notice what the guy he's talking to is wearing. I have a great sense of color and fashion. What I see first in people is their sense of dressing and style. When he interacts with people, it's only people and not what they wear. Each one of us has his or her own perceptions, and that colors our view of everything. What is around us doesn't determine what we see. What is within us does. Who you are determines how you see others. Let's examine the statement with an interesting anecdote. A traveller nearing a great city asked an old man seated by the road, "What are the people like in the city?" The old man asked, "What were the people like where you came from?" The traveller replied, "Horrible, mean, untrustworthy, detestable in all respects." "Ah," said the old man, "you will find the same in the city ahead." After the first traveller left, another traveller stopped by to inquire from the old man about the people in the great city. Again the old man asked the second traveller the kind of people he met in the city he just left. "They were very fine people, honest, generous and industrious," declared the traveller. "I was sorry to leave that city." The old man responded, "That's exactly how you will find the people here." The way people see others is a reflection of themselves. If I'm a trusting person, I will see others as trustworthy. If I'm a critical person, I will see others as critical. If I'm a caring person, I will see others as compassionate. Your personality comes through when you talk about others and interact with them. Who you are determines how you view life. Here is an old story. A grandfather was sleeping on his couch. His naughty grandchildren decided to play a trick on him. They took a bit of extra smelly Limburger cheese and quietly rubbed it on Grandpa's moustache. They hid around to see what would happen. After a while, the old man's nose began to twitch. His head started to toss. With a sour look, he said, "Something in here stinks." He went to the kitchen, took a deep sniff and said, "It stinks here too." He decided to go out to get a breath of fresh air, but when he took a deep breath, there was foul smell again. "The whole world stinks," he lamented. The moral of the story: to a person with Limburger cheese under his nose, everything stinks. The good thing for Grandpa is that he can remove the foul stuff from his moustache with soap and water, and things will smell sweet again. But a person who has foul stuff in the inside has a more difficult task. We all have a personal frame of reference that consists of our attitudes, assumptions and expectations concerning ourselves, other people and life. These factors determine whether we are optimistic or pessimistic, cheerful or gloomy, trusting or suspicious, friendly or reserved, brave or timid. You teach people how to treat you. How you see life comes from who you are. The only way to change how you view life is to change who you are on the inside. Who you are determines what you do. Organizations tell a story of barnyard characters that's meant to point out how companies mismanage people. Believing that anyone can be trained to do anything, those in charge of the farm ask the workhorse to operate the computer. A shy sheep is encouraged to make sales calls. A scarecrow is sent to the hen house to lay eggs. He tries and tries, is exhausted, and at the end of the day fails to produce even a single egg. It's pretty obvious that hens lay eggs, horses pull carriages, and sheep produce wool. Our natural ability affects what we do. Our thinking and our attitudes are as much part of us as our talents and abilities. They also determine what we do. We cannot separate them, and if we expect results different from our makeup, we are in for a disappointment. Factors that determine who you are. Genetics. I quote John Maxwell from his best-selling novel, Winning with People. When Margaret and I were young and naive, we believed that genetics played only a small role in a person's makeup. We thought environment was 98% responsible for who a person was. Raise your children to be like you, and they will turn out like you. Then we adopted our children, Elizabeth and Joel Porter. We discovered that upbringing, character development, education and spiritual instruction play important roles, but some things are hardwired into people that are going to be there no matter what their environment is. Genes play an important role in a person's makeup. The genetic makeup is probably good news and bad news. There are some qualities and characteristics that you cannot change. The color of your skin, your hair, eyes, height, weight and body structure can be attributed to your genes. You do not have a choice as far as this fact is considered. You got to learn to live with them. Genetic abnormalities and disabilities like blindness, deafness, torn lips, extra finger impose limitations on the growth and achievements of individuals. Social acceptance is yet another issue faced by such individuals. When it comes to character issues, work on your weaknesses. When it comes to your talents, go with your strengths. Self-image. It is said that Oliver Wendell Holmes was walking down a street one day and a little girl joined him. When the girl started to turn back home, the famed jurist said, "When your mother asks you where you've been, tell her you've been walking with Oliver Wendell Holmes." "Okay," said the girl confidently. "And when your folks ask you where you've been, tell them you were walking with Mary Susanna Brown." Now that's someone with a positive self-image. People are like water, they find their own level. A person with a negative self-image will expect the worst, damage relationships and find others who are similarly negative. Those who have a self-image that is both positive and accurate are likely to be highly successful, see others as potentially successful and gravitate to other successful people. Experiences in life. There were two brothers. One was a drug addict and a drunk who frequently beat up his family. The other was a very successful businessman who was respected in society and had a wonderful family. How could two brothers raised by the same parents, brought up in the same environment be so different? The first brother was asked, "What makes you do what you do? You are a drug addict, a drunk and you beat your family?" He answered, "My father was a drug addict, a drunk and he beat my mother, my brother and me when we were small. That is what I have seen. What do you expect me to be? That is what I am." The second brother was asked, "How come you are doing everything right? You are successful, respected in society and have a beautiful family." Guess what he said? "My father possibly did all the wrong things. I used to see him drunk, beat us up. I made up my mind never be like him." Experiences in life make us a better or a bitter person. We don't choose all of our life experiences, especially when we are children. As we grow older, we do choose many of our experiences, like we choose our jobs, we choose who to marry, we choose where to take a vacation, etc. Even more important than choosing our experiences is deciding what our attitudes will be about the experiences we have had. People who particularly have a difficult background find it challenging to pursue experiences that will improve how they live and think. We can't undo our past experiences, but we can reprogram ourselves using them as springboards to bounce back to life. Environment. Environment consists of home, positive or negative influences, school, peer pressure, workplace, supportive or critical, media, televisions, newspapers, magazines, radio, internet, movies, social environment, religious background, traditions and beliefs, political environment, government policies, laws of the land. All these environments create a culture. Every place, be it home, organization or a country, has a culture. You go to a house and find parents and children well behaved, courteous and considerate. You go to another house where everyone is fighting like cats and dogs. That's the difference in the modes of behavior and the family environment. You've probably been to a store where you find managers and sales clerks polite, helpful, friendly and cheerful. Yet, at another shop you find the staff rude and discourteous. There's a big difference in the organization culture. In countries where the government and political environment is honest, generally you will find that people are honest, law abiding and helpful. The reverse is also true. In a corrupt environment, an honest person has a tough time, whereas in an honest environment, a corrupt person has a tough time. In a positive environment, a marginal performer's output goes up. In a negative environment, a good performer's output goes down. We need to really step back and look at the kind of environment we have created for ourselves and for those around us. Education. Education refers to both formal and informal education. True education is training of both the head and the heart. An uneducated thief may steal from the freight car, but an educated thief may steal the entire railroad. Education needs to be value-based. Intellectual education influences the head and value-based education influences the heart. In fact, education that does not train the heart can be dangerous. There is a story about a man who sold hot dogs by the roadside. He was illiterate, so he never read newspapers. He was hard of hearing, so he never listened to the radio. He was enthusiastic and loved what he was doing, selling hot dogs. He sold lots of them every day. The profits went up. He ordered more meat, got bigger stoves, employed more people and the business became big. He sent his son to learn business management from a reputed B school. The son, well equipped, was now ready to join his father's flourishing business. The son asked the father, "Aren't you aware of the Great Recession?" The father said, "No." The old man didn't know about it as he was illiterate. He did not read the newspapers, was hard of hearing, so did not listen to the radio. The son warned that they should be ready for the bad times coming ahead. So the very next day, he cut down his order for meat and buns. Very soon, fewer and fewer people stopped by for hot dogs because of unavailability, and the sales started coming down. As the sales started dwindling rapidly, the father said to the son, "Son, you were right. We were in the middle of a recession. I would not have known recession had you not told me." The moral of the story is, sometimes we confuse intelligence with good judgment. A person may have high intelligence but poor judgment. Choose your advisors carefully, but use your own judgment. Education does not mean good judgment. We are drowning in a sea of information but starving for knowledge and wisdom. Strategically applied, knowledge translates into wisdom, which in turn translates into success. Knowledge is potential power, wisdom is real power. Steps to personality development. Step 1. Accept responsibility. It's important to take responsibility of whatever good or bad that happens to us. Most people are quick to take credit for whatever goes right, but very few would readily accept responsibility when things go wrong. People who do not accept responsibility shift the blame to their parents, teachers and even their genes. Step 2. Be courteous. Courtesy is consideration for others. It's a little thing that makes a big difference in life. Courtesy means giving your seat to the elderly or the disabled. It can be a warm smile or a thank you. It can mean lending a helping hand to your parents or friends. It enhances a person's self-worth. Courtesy reflects humility in a person. Step 3. Have a win-win mentality. Win-win is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefits in all human interactions. Win-win is based on paradigm that there is plenty for everybody, that one person's success is not achieved at the expense or exclusion of success of others. Win-win means that agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial and mutually satisfying. Win-win views life as a cooperative arena rather than a competitive arena. Step 4. Choose your words cautiously. A person who says whatever he likes usually ends up hearing what he doesn't like. It's important to be tactful in one's conversation. Being tactful means to choose your words carefully and knowing how far to go. It also means knowing what to say and what to leave unsaid. Step 5. Be a good listener. The art of conversation is dying, but wouldn't you agree that infinitely more valuable and important is good listening? We are taught to read and write well. We are also taught to speak well. But are we taught to listen well? There are no coaching classes for good listening. Step 6. Do not criticize. Criticism can be negative as well as positive. When a person is unjustly criticized, he becomes defensive. A critic is like a backseat driver who drives the driver crazy. If the criticism comes with a genuine desire to help, it is referred to as constructive criticism. If you start deriving pleasure out of criticizing others, it's time to stop. Step 7. Give honest and sincere appreciation. The deepest desire of the human heart is to be appreciated. The desire to feel important, to be accepted, to be wanted is the greatest cravings of human beings. The biggest disease today is not leprosy or tuberculosis, but rather the feeling of being unwanted. Quoted by Mother Teresa. Step 8. Discuss but avoid arguments. Discussion means saying the right thing at the right time and also leaving unsaid what need not be said. Discussion also entails allowing the other person to speak without interruption. Discussion comes from an open mind, ready to exchange knowledge and ideas. Discussion is an expression of logic and reasoning. Step 9. Do not gossip. Someone has well said, small people talk about other people, mediocre people talk about things, and great people talk about ideas. It is for us to decide to be small or mediocre people or become great people. If we are really tempted to talk about people, let's talk good about people. Step 10. Don't bear grudges with people. If you want to travel far and wide, travel light. Do not be a garbage collector. A person who refuses to forgive and forget is locking the doors that someday he might need to open. When we hold grudges and resentments with people, we hurt ourselves most. Step 11. Translate your promises into commitments. A promise is a statement of intent. A commitment is a promise that is going to be kept, come what may. Commitment comes out of character and leads to conviction. Commitment says we are predictable in the unpredictable. Step 12. Have empathy and compassion for others. It's important to have compassion for others. We need to put ourselves in other people's shoes to understand their problems. For that, we first need to remove our own shoes. Empathy is, I feel how you feel. A caring attitude builds goodwill and it doesn't cost anything. Step 13. Have an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude is a feeling of thankfulness towards others. It reflects in our behavior and actions. Gratitude is not give and take or reciprocating by doing favors in return. Gratitude may be a genuine thank you from the heart. It may be a smile, a warm hug, or a gesture of appreciation. Step 14. Develop a sense of humor. It's easy to make people cry, difficult to make people laugh. Most people are humor impaired. Wit and humor go hand in hand. Subtly putting in humor in your conversation is an art. A good sense of humor makes a person likable and admirable. Step 15. Be cheerful and smile. It takes more muscles to frown than to smile. So why not smile? It improves our face value. Does anyone like a sour-faced person or a grouch? I am sure no one does. Concluding remarks. Each one of us is unique. We were born with a combination of ingredients that made us different from our brothers and sisters. Over the years, people have chiseled us, chipped and hammered us. Just when we thought that we were finished products, someone would start shaping us again. We were all born with our own temperament, traits, our raw material, our own kind of rock. Some of us are granite, some marble and some sandstone. Our type of rock doesn't change, but our shapes can be altered. So is it with our personalities. We start with our own set of inborn traits. Some of our qualities are beautiful with strains of gold. Some are blemished with fault lines of grey. Our circumstances, environment, upbringing and cultural influence can mold our personalities, but the rock beneath remains the same. To sum up and reiterate, these points need to be deeply embedded in our minds. If only we could understand ourselves, know what we are made up of, know who we really are, know why we react as we do, know our strengths and how to amplify them, know our weaknesses and how to overcome them. Thank you. I hope this lecture touches your lives. May you have unblemished and polished personalities.